Hello everybody and welcome back to Mate Night, where we are reviewing films until someone invites us to Cannes.
Woo! High energy.
We do not have a script today. Well, I didn't prepare one. Fred's just bopped something into ChatGPT and now he's going to have to read it live. So let's hear what it's got for us.
All right, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Right, we've done the reviews. We've argued. We've scored. We've probably offended a few fan bases along the way. But now it's time to do what every film podcast eventually does. Welcome to the inaugural Tosscars award ceremony. Tosscars, yes.
All right.
Working title. Name still yet to be decided. Over the past year, we've watched around 20 films from
2025. We're not that bad.
Yeah. Some massive, some overlooked, some genuinely baffling. It just makes up what it wants, doesn't it? And now we're taking everything we've seen and putting it head to head with the heavy hitters of the year, the award contenders.
Excuse me.
Contenders. We're in a war. It should be thought about seriously. The fan favourites, the films everyone's been talking about. So basically, the setup today, we've got 5 interesting, hopefully, categories. We just had the Oscars, so at certain points we may compare, but it's going to be a bit of a, here's one award. What did you think, Jambo? What are you bringing to the table? I'll bring something to the table. We'll decide for that specific category what's going to take
At the end of a 4-minute timer. At the end of a 4-minute timer. That's what we're going to do. We've got 5 categories. Bring a film each.
Keep it speedy. Keep it.
Yep.
Let's go. All right. Good shot.
Nice.
Then.
Okay, so the 5 categories are...
Well, sure. I reckon we reveal. Do you reckon we reveal as we go along?
Fine. The first category is... Okay, welcome everybody to the Tosscars. The first category for the day is Best Picture.
Yes.
Fred, make your case for your film.
Well, my film is, drumroll, Marti Supreme.
Okay.
I've gone for. Looking back on a year in film, 2025, came right at the end of the year, and it was the one that left me the most, I'd say, blown away. I really just enjoyed the aesthetic. I enjoyed the characterization. The acting was great. The sentiment that they were trying to eke out of me, they achieved. All parts I thought knocked out of the park. It's had a bit of a smear campaign by all accounts recently. No one seems to like it as much as they did when it first came out. But for me, Best Picture, Marti Supreme.
You make a good case, mate.
And what have you gone for?
But the thing is, you're wrong.
I think you're fucking wrong.
Because the Best Picture of 2025, I believe, is One Battle After Another.
Yeah, go for it.
It was neck and neck with Marti Supreme and Sinners, which I know it's basic, but they are the 3 best.
Okay.
I thought that One Battle After Another had the excitement that Marti Supreme had, but I just kind of felt like it resonated with me a little bit deeper. There were more characters that I kind of felt a warmth towards. It was... I think Marti Supreme maybe was just like it. The Safdie, whichever one did it, basically went. I'm gonna just go as intense as I possibly can.
Yeah, okay.
And then kind of just forgot about some of the other things a little bit for me. Whereas in One Battle After Another, it felt like a more complete film. I loved Leo in it. I loved all the supporting actors in it. I loved the story. I just think Paul Thomas Anderson has a way of making absolutely incredible films. But yeah, it was neck and neck with Marti Supreme.
One thing I think you could argue effectively with One Battle After Another is that it provides a very new, interesting story, whereas the Safdie's work is kind of follows that same framework.
Yeah.
And so PTA tends to bring something completely different to the table every time he comes up to bat. And in this case, I think if I'd have watched a lot of the Safdie stuff in the run-up, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed Marti Supreme as much as I did. But just for me, coming out of the cinema, that was the one that was the most impactful. Having said that, I think for a Best Picture, I'm happy to see that One Battle After Another takes it.
Yeah.
One thing I would say, Sinners, a lot of people loved Sinners. You mentioned Sinners. For me, it wasn't as... I thought the ending was a bit too messy for me.
Which ending? Because there were quite a few.
So kind of the climax of the main story, not like the kind of afterthought endings that came along.
Yeah.
More just the climax of the main narrative that took place, however 50, 70, 60 years ago. So still, what do you think? Does it? Yeah, go on. Give me your thoughts on Sinners, because I didn't realise you rated it that highly.
I don't think Sinners wins Best Picture, and I think for exactly what you said, the way that the story is kind of constructed is incredibly clumsy, and it destroys. I think that a lot of people thought the beginning was very, very cool. I was a little bit bored during the first part of the movie. It got exciting. It was a cool movie, and then the ending, the climax, and then the subsequent 4 endings. It just didn't know how to finish.
Yeah.
But it was very cool, and I'm a real sucker for a great soundtrack. Really
Which
good
it was.
music in a
It
film.
was unbelievable. I think it's maybe just a touch too much style over substance. Take this with a grain of salt. It's still great, but yeah, it was really cool, and a lot of the style was great. However, one battle after another.
We think one battle after another wins. Very nice.
The least prestigious of the Tosscars, Best Picture. All right.
Now we've got slightly less next because we have Best Acting. This is male and female joined together because we've only got 5 in total.
Yes.
So, should I go first this time?
Yeah, go on. You go.
All right. So there were a couple of people I was kind of tossing it up between. I wasn't as crazy on the movie, but Jesse Buckley I thought was really, really good. I loved Leo's performance in One Battle After Another. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if this is necessarily the best acting, but I was pretty fucking surprised by it.
Okay.
Kevin O'Leary from Marti Supreme was really good.
He was really good, yeah.
And I was like, this is the guy who's he's a businessman.
And everyone hates him now as well. So
Do they?
I don't know why, but definitely he's not popular. He's not. I think it's because he's a billionaire. I think that, or maybe he's not a billionaire. But
well,
I don't
whatever
think
the
he's
case.
a great geezer. But I do agree, he was really good.
I was really amazed. I was like, and I feel like, you know what? I feel like we need to put a little respect on his name for taking the plunge into what is obviously just it's not business, is it? And he's done such a good job of it. So yeah, that's my nomination.
Yeah, your nomination is actually Kevin O'Leary.
I'm gonna just put him down. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna go for some other names. Best acting. We just did Weapons. I think Amy Madigan was pretty memorable. Also in Weapons, actually, Julia Garner. Jessie Buckley, as you said, she was really good. For me, the standouts, though, I've whittled it down to... I'll do one more nomination, which was Timothée Chalamet, who probably was of the Best Actor nominations, the one I thought was the best. But the two that I've whittled it down to is Jesse Plemons from Bugonia, who I just think is... incredible. He really reminds me of Philip Seymour Hoffman. Not just in terms of looks, which he's got a bit of a vibe, but more just screen presence. He's just magnetic. He's just so good.
And not for being incredibly charismatic and sexy. It's for something else.
It's just something about him is just your eye is drawn to him and everything. He's just amazing. And the one that I'm gonna go for is gonna be Robert Aramayo from I Swear.
I didn't watch that one. Okay,
it's tough.
So is he the one with the Tourette's in the film?
Yes, but firstly, he does an amazing evocation of John Davidson. The real life person who I swear based on John Davidson, a Tourette's campaigner in the early days when it wasn't that well known about in the UK. He had a very famous documentary made about him called John's Not Mad or something like that. So he's quite a famous figure in the UK when it comes to Tourette's, and his life has been pretty difficult, but also there's a lot of uplifting, charming sides to it as well. And it's one of those feel-good films with a lot of dark elements. Robert Aramayo is unbelievable. He is so good, and he's English. His Scottish accent is absolutely top quality. The tics, the believability of it all is just great. I came away from it thinking that no one had. I reevaluated Jesse Plemons, rethink about we're about Begonia, but I don't think anyone touched Robert Romeo for
I'm
me.
quite happy to concede that one because Kevin O'Leary is obviously a bit of a just fun mention. And
Nice
that's
to
it.
chuck
And
someone else into the mix, even if people don't like him.
yeah, 100%. But that seems fair enough. Yeah, I'm assuming he doesn't have
He
Tourette's.
could actually go into one of our later categories as well. We'll have to bear that in mind.
What does that mean?
For the pièce de résistance of the Tosscars. Okay,
So-
that's our 4 minutes.
Moving on, we have our 3rd out of 5 awards. We are running low. Okay. Best story.
Best story. How did you interpret this before we give our nominations?
I don't know. I just ranked my movies top to bottom and went, which one did I like the story of the most?
From my perspective, it was if I saw it written down, if someone said this is what happens in this
Yep.
thing you're about to watch, the one that if you gave me 20 paragraphs,
Yep.
which one would I think is the most interesting and engaging? That's how
I like that. I think that's good.
So
We'll see if mine holds up to that definition.
here are my nominations, and I tried to chuck in a different couple in here. I don't think I'd mentioned Sinners at this point, so I did chuck Sinners into the mix. Just interesting, engaging, kind of cool new stories.
Yeah.
Something we really value these days.
Didn't know how to end, though, as discussed in the last one.
Wake Up Dead Man, which I thought was
love
pretty
that.
interesting. I thought it was a really good story. Really liked it. The reason why it's not winning for me is because, again, it's part of a series. So the originality of, say, a Knives Out, when that came out, 2019, I think, that might have won that year for me. But now it's a bit more serialized, so I guess the novelty's worn off. And my winner is going to be, I went for Weapons in the end.
Is it?
I thought that was just a really, really great film. I know we aren't going to...
Did ya?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
What's it out of 10 on the gut reaction score for you?
I think I haven't given it yet, but I think it would break 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think by loads, but I did think it was great.
So you like the story? It was split into chapters by character's point of view, right? In this
I
one.
thought it was a POV and kind of not chronological. It all built to a nice crescendo, and it was just very memorable and interesting in terms of how unique it was as a story.
It was quite well done the way that they did the chapters where it changed POV, because it didn't completely start from the beginning each time. It kind of overlapped them so that like you would see the next chapter, the new character's POV would be like towards the end of the last chapter and how that comes to an end. And then it would move on to its own like progression of the story, which was quite good actually, wasn't it? I liked that.
Yeah, I also thought like, is that in the spirit of story? Who knows? I'm going to give it to Weapons, but go on, give me yours.
Well, I'm sorry to be a little bit basic, but it was my best picture. One battle after another.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It really just stuck with me. I think it's kind of hard sometimes to separate out the story from all the other bits that go into it. But I just thought it had a really kind of good combination of there were very, very exciting bits.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters meant quite a bit to me by the end of it, for better or worse, as we might find out later. I just think it was an incredible film, and I think it was a really well put together story.
It's good that I think I just tried to cover more bases of films that we watched, but it would have been an absolute travesty if none of us had mentioned One Battle After Another, which I do think should win this award as well. I think it's probably the best story, probably the best film.
Do you reckon? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'd say so. It was pretty great, wasn't it?
It was incredible. It was a great film. So that's the one I put. I did have Marti Supreme in there because I think that the Safdies do tension and intensity incredibly well. I just think it's a little bit linear.
But I think at the heart of the Safdies films, it's just like, okay, we've got a morally kind of, not even just morally grey, kind of a bit of a con man-y character who's going to basically ruin other people's lives to achieve his ambitions.
So there we go. So best story of 2025 goes to...
Weapons.
One battle after another.
Right.
Okay, I reckon we go Weapons because it was shorter and I prefer that. And I thought it was interesting the way they presented the chronology of it.
Yeah, I think if PTA directs Weapons, we're talking about one of the all-time great films, you know. So yeah.
Maybe it could be one that lasts a long time, Fred.
Yeah,
potentially. It could be one that they watch in the future. If only there was an award at a prestigious ceremony.
What out of interest, what is our next Tosscar that we're...
Welcome, everybody, to The Tortoise.
The Tortoise.
This film, I interpreted personally as the film that will get the most views 100 years from today.
Oh, that's a very interesting interpretation. Yeah. Mine was... which film is at this current point not appreciated as much as it will be?
Is that a characteristic of tortoises, I guess? That they're underappreciated at the beginning of their career.
On my list of the Tortoise was very underappreciated in that race that it won. Yeah, okay. Well, I think we just give our nominations. Yep. We both looked at it in different ways, and we go from there. So okay. You first.
It's me first. So I was trying to figure out which film would last the longest, obviously, something that would be watching 100 years. I had a look at some of the films that we've done from the oldest ones that we've done. You got Citizen Kane, Casablanca, All About Eve, 12 Angry Men, Psycho. Those are kind of the first ones. And I've decided that you want to have just basically as much as you can about the relationships between the individuals in it. That's the thing that lasts a long time. Marti Supreme made it onto the nominations list because I think that it won't age terribly in terms of the presentation of it, and obviously it's got that kind of very intense interpersonal relationship. But my winner is a film that I didn't like at all. I thought it was incredibly dry and incredibly fucking boring, but they do tend to do well, those sorts of films, and it was Hamnet. Okay,
interesting. I think that for me, I like that you've approached it in a different way. Even if I was thinking in 100 years which film would be the most successful, which wasn't how I approached it, I think something like Hamnet, as you said, it would be a bit too much kind of... Period pieces they're not 10 a penny, but I just feel like people aren't drawn to going back to them. Maybe it's because that timeless aspect makes them like they're kind of a novelty in their time, and then after that, like there's not as much that's new and interesting being brought to the table. Whereas I think that when people look back in a lot, decades away, they're looking at the things that are really new and original from that time. So for that reason, I've nominated 3 films. I was really tempted by Begonia. I thought having Begonia and Weapons are really 2 of them. They're amongst my favourite films of what I watched last year. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really thought they were really good. Both of them. I think I wanted Begonia to have a bit of, a mention. However, my understanding is Yorgos's films are all quite... They're very idiosyncratic. And because I haven't watched them, maybe it hit me a bit more than it would for other people. So I think I'd need to watch back his discography.
I think they all hit everybody that watches them. They're incredibly they're very memorable.
Something like a Poor Things, I understand is meant to be amazing. Exactly. And so anyway, Begonia, Weapons, also, I think Weapons more so. That's my second nom if I didn't mention it. But the one I'm going to give, and I think it's fair, is Big Dog Sinners.
You reckon Sinner? But that's a period piece.
Yeah, but it's not like a Hamlet period piece. It's like they're bringing in new, like they're doing something completely different with a like there's there's a leap in terms of temporality. So sorry, there's like a time skip is what I mean. But also there's vampires chucked into the mix. There's the integration of music from different time periods. It's a predominantly black film. Like black period pieces aren't particularly done up to this point. Like there are some tropes that are a bit more commonly used, like the slavery stuff and the Ku Klux Klan elements. Those aren't uncommon, but so much of that is very new. What they did, whether you really liked the film for what it was or not, I couldn't deny that it seems like the sort that would break away from this time frame and have people in 10, 15 years being like, do you remember Sinners? That was insane. And I think that sort of traction is what actually gives films a platform to be remembered over a long period of time.
Yeah. Do you think that? I'm inclined to agree. I wonder though whether the very things that made it more interesting than Hamnet are the things that are going to age kind of badly though, right? Like the vampires and the very kind of like trying to be as cool can be cool.
Yeah,
might come across as a bit like don't quite work with society in like 50 years where like I just don't know if that is cool anymore. Whereas something like Hamnet, it's like, yeah, it probably is a bit dull, maybe doesn't bring a lot new to the table, but it won't age as poorly because it's not doing like the things that it thinks of as being cool. It's just about that kind of very human thing of the grief of losing a child that will still be 100. They will resonate with people in 100 years.
Yeah, I get your argument. I think the way I'd approach it is for films to stand the test of time, there's probably two kind of key identifying factors. One would be it's incredibly forward thinking, so it's able to be shown in 10, 20, 30 years and it feels of that time, and you can't really judge what films are going to be like that, so it's hard to tell what films are going to move forward the like Overton window. The other option is it becomes like really emblematic of that time period. So it could be one of the huge hits of the 2020s. If that's the case, it wouldn't matter as much that it ages. It would just more be like a nostalgic pick. For me, I think that Hamnet's less likely to have either of those. I don't think it did enough. It didn't push the boat out enough for it to be, a film where people say like, oh yeah, this really set the standard.
It's not like that memorable, really, is it?
Whereas Sinners, it's just, if I had to guess, I think Sinners is more likely. The only reason I think it's a bit of a cop-out is because it did really well. I'd like it to be a film which didn't do as well as Sinners,
sure,
but I do think it's probably just going to end up being the most memorable film of the year.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm willing to agree with that. Yeah, let's go with Sinners for the Tortoise Award then. Yep. There you go. Well done, Michael B. Jordan.
Well done.
You must be proud.
Well done, B.
We'll send your award in the post. Which leaves us with the very last award.
That's the most prestigious.
This is the
Oscar.
most important award. We saved it for the end. We thought quite a long time. It's been a while in the making, the Tosscars.
Yes.
Apart from
as
the
you
name.
can tell from so far from the episode so far, how much thought was
how
put
much
into
prep went in. So what did you think of Best Story as the movie? How did you interpret this award?
No, we'll learn from the first Oscars for sure.
But yeah, so we wanted it to be very, very important, and the award that we have landed on is the worst human being.
Worst human being
from film in 2025.
Which
we didn't agree on what that means.
Yeah, no, I'd be interested to see what your nominations are. To peek behind the curtain somewhat, Jamie mentioned we put loads of thought into the Tosscars. You probably noticed it was more of a, this will be a fun thing to do. However, immediately when we said what sort of awards do we want to give, you just went, worst human being. It's just like you were so ready.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You went, well, I want to do worst human being. I was like, right, that doesn't typically get brought up at an award show, but okay.
Yeah.
So armed with some options.
Not at all.
I believe it's my go actually.
Okay, so the inaugural Tosscars, the most important award of all of them, the worst human being. Fred, who is it?
Well, my nominations are, it's a great year for bad humans. It really is. like the in memoriam of the bad humans this year has been spectacular. Well, a couple that sprung to mind, the Safdies, particularly, I believe it's Josh, who, they had their acrimonious split, and it's all come out that it was to do with, on the set of Good Time, a kind of extra was brought in who was underage and then put into a love scene. She was 17. She was put into a sex scene. She didn't have any idea that that's what she came in to do. She thought she was going to come in and meet Robert Pattinson, which wasn't their fault entirely. she'd been led along by this producer who she was seeing at 17, by the way, and she had to do a scene with a guy because they're known for hiring just like interesting characters from the New York area. It was a former convict, and she was supposed to do like a scene with him where she had to be topless and do a sex scene, and then he said to her, "Oh, can I stick it in?" During the scene, yeah. So,
oh my lord,
yeah. So a really horrible.
I feel like it would be the producer from that film would be the
he bore
nominee.
the brunt. He bore the brunt. However, I don't know his name, so we're gonna
Josh.
say the buck stops with Josh Safdie and Josh, whoever this producer is. Something about Josh is that
It could be.
Anyway, the Safdies, they split based on this story. So
okay,
I'm gonna go with them. Woody Allen, who is all over the Epstein files.
Is he?
Yeah, big time old Woody.
No.
And I watched my first Woody Allen film this year as well, so kind of appropriate chucking him in there. But of course, the clear winner for me, after his outbursts, is known rampant Scottish racist John Davidson. No, for very little else other than being a homophobic racist,
complete scumbag.
Worst moment of the year for heroes. Michael B. Jordan, Delroy Lindo. I think that of course, my clear winner.
Yeah, well, I think that's a solid option. I went for a character, actually.
Yes, I did think. Maybe we should have gone. Maybe we should have cleared up if we were going characters or not. But yeah, go on. Who's your character?
No, I think it could
mix it up for sure.
Exactly. Obviously, Jesse Plemons' character in Bugonia was not a very good guy.
Very good.
Because he castrated his slide.
Yes, I was going to say he was kind of like morally grey, but then there were some really bad things.
Yeah, he
that
really
chucked
crossed
in
the
the
lines. But the person who I decided should win, the person who I really thought should win was Perfidia from One Battle After Another. Now, this isn't necessarily the worst human being, but I do think people don't appreciate just how bad of a mother this person was.
Yeah,
because she was pregnant, right? And she went into gunfights, right?
Yeah.
Then she had the baby, got herself arrested during a bank robbery. You're a fucking mother. What are you doing robbing banks?
Yeah.
This was like a baby as well. This isn't like a little girl. This is a baby, right? Then she gets sent off away through turns of events and makes no effort whatsoever for the rest of her child's life to ever try and get back in it.
Well, I think the other thing as well is not only does she get arrested, she also dobs in the whole revolution.
She did.
So that's a great shout, Perfidia.
Yeah, she was a bad human being. And I wanted to put her forward, not necessarily because I thought she definitely was the worst human being, but because I feel like people didn't appreciate, like, she was kind of made cool enough.
Yeah.
That she got away with it. And I was watching it thinking, you are not a good human being.
Yeah, you know why I'm going to jump in on this as well is because of the flagrant hypocrisy of being a revolutionary who has no, who doesn't have the balls to stick by their moral compass and would... Basically, it leads you to believe that she's in it for the glamorous lifestyle of being able to say that she was a revolutionary. Like she was not only in gunfights with heavily pregnant, she was also flagrantly firing automatic weapons.
Yes,
obliterating the eardrums of her unborn child, making a mockery. A mockery of the whole birthing process, and for me, I think that's a standout winner. Yeah,
well done, Perfidia. You won the most important award from the Tosscars. So we've literally got 50 seconds left. Quick summary.
Yes, first Tosscars, 5 awards this year. I think going into it next year, we'll take a little look back and see what worked, what didn't work. We do have a little bit of our workings out that we might tack on to the end of this as well. But all in all, I'm happy with all of our nominated films and all the ones that won.
So we'll probably get back to our regular schedule pretty soon. I've been away, but tune in next week and we should have a film review. We're thinking of doing more this versus that format.
Yeah, but run through a few of the IMDb films.
If any of you are at this point in the episode, right, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
Firstly.
I really appreciate it.
And if you have any feedback at all, we genuinely just want to make the best possible podcast.
Yeah.
So do let us know if something works or doesn't, because we will. We don't get any,
for the love of the game.
We don't get any comments, so we'll see it.
Yeah, no one's really seeing it anymore. But, yeah.
If you leave a comment, I'm more likely to see that than a text from my family member.
Yeah.
So
who doesn't listen?
So there you go. Thank you so much for
thanks,
tuning
guys.
in.
Lovely
See you
chat.
next one.